In the last video, you learned that the ultimate mind doesn't open without consideration, doesn't shift without safe experiences, and doesn't change without emotional proof. So how do we get our body on board without causing a broken record of mental loops? Well, first we must understand how the mind works so we can work with it. After all, we can't integrate this cycle until we isolate the mental looping experience of the shame spiral. Now here's why, and here's how the spiral works. First, you have a commanding thought. I should do this or I shouldn't do that. And then you're willing to either take the physical risk, right? Where we're going to either act on it or we're going to avoid what we should or shouldn't do. From there, we have an emotional reward where we either pass or we fail emotionally, right? It either feels comfortable or it feels uncomfortable. And therefore, we grab the physical evidence that's gathered to support the emotion, which is then used to restructure and reinforce the next commanding thought with environmental evidence, where we provide either a reason or an excuse. Let's use an example to explore this a little further. Something as simple as setting a morning goal to wake up and work out, our should, is found with us only left to sleep in, which is our avoidant. This can trigger a mental loop. Anytime our subconscious or our body overrides a conscious or our mental command, it can cause us to feel shame, guilt, anger, annoyance, and frustration from our own lack of personal power within our skin. When this happens, the conscious mind begins to curse our body and its patterns. We start abusing and bashing ourselves mentally to spark an internal reaction, believing that if we can scold ourselves enough with emotional consequence, our subconscious programming will listen and change. The problem is that whether we speak these thoughts or think them, our subconscious program, every single cell in our body, hears it and responds in kind, creating a perpetual internal war. We begin experiencing in our external environment what we are feeling from our internal emotions. This feels like failure. We may also go so far as to blame others for this circumstantial experience. This is known as projecting, and is also considered our own environmental evidence. Even if we are able to prevent projecting, we often continue to blame ourselves for failing. These heavier frequencies compile and compact within our system. In turn, we travel further into a down spiral, calling forth more unpleasant emotions like self-pity, disgust, worthlessness, and remorse for our patterns, more logical commanding thoughts. This is another area where mind over matter comes to play, but not always in a good way. We literally begin warring with ourselves, saying things like, I need to control my emotions. I've got to fight this every day. My biggest battle is with myself. I need to get my ass in gear. I'm going to beat myself tomorrow. Most often, the conscious and subconscious mind acts as a reinforcement of past beliefs that we've held since childhood. This internal dialogue only reinforces our life theme, further cementing limiting beliefs that we are not enough, not worthy, broken, or we simply don't matter, for example. And as you may have guessed, this only perpetuates the issues, prevents us from feeling love, whole, safe within our own skin, while prolonging personal growth and healing, thus causing more physical disease, which reinforces the subconscious mind with emotional proof that the conscious mind is not safe and defiance is necessary for protection. This disconnect only increases in size between the mind and body and creates a dark, lonely shame spiral of emotional and mental looping that leaves us asking, why does this always happen to me? Why am I doing this? Why do I always react this way? By the time these conscious questions are sprouting, something has internally shut down the subconscious in order to avoid the discomfort of having to really explore the answers. So round and round we go. An opportunity presents itself. We have a thought as to whether or not we should or shouldn't do it. We either act or avoid it. We pass or fail. And however that goes is reinforced with emotional evidence. For most of us, this cycle is uncomfortable because it is a repeated cycle of failures, and we do all that we can to resist it. Thus, we eventually resign ourselves to stagnant self-sabotage that prevents us from moving forward. The truth is, if you do not make room for discomfort on purpose, then you are subconsciously subjecting yourself and your life to repeated unprocessed emotions that establish distinct mental loops and stagnant down spirals. However, if you make discomfort a goal, then failure is now a win. Discomfort feels fun and alive. Evidence breeds thought of expansion. If you do not make room for discomfort, then a fail is failure, and the evidence breeds thoughts of restriction. Over time, restriction branches into other areas of our life. The conscious mind commands less from our bodies, and our subconscious mind holds us hostage. We're left feeling alone, depressed, miserable, passionless, resentful, unhappy, scared, bored, and eventually regretful. We know we are lost somewhere within, trapped in an emotional cell of despair and anguish, one that we never really asked for and has us longing for escape at all cost. It leaves us disconnected from really living the life we came to live. This internal opposition has us beginning to feel a certain paranoia, as though someone or something is out to get us, and we must avoid it at all cost. But what are we really avoiding? Pain. We resist pain at all costs, both subconsciously and consciously, because we feel weak in the experience of it, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual. We've been taught that pain makes us weak in general, and emotional, mental, and spiritual pain is actually more weak than physical pain, when actually it's quite the opposite. Most people would rather suffer a broken bone over a broken heart. So, how did the pain makes us weak story begin? And why is the physical experience of pain praised while the other versions are shunned? In the next lesson, we will further explore pain and how the mind navigates around it.